Hi everybody, this is Nancy from Natureworks, and this is part 3 of our deep dive into bulbs. I love bulbs. I plant bulbs every year. It is the highlight of my fall, and in the spring and early summer, I'm just so proud of myself for doing it. Sometimes I buy them and I just keep them in a basket in the garage until late October or November, and I put them in as I start to cut my plants down. But today's feature is kind of funky and unusual bulbs that you may not know about. So, as you probably realize, at Natureworks, we like unusual plants. We're a bunch of plant geeks, especially me, chief geek of the universe here. So these are plants that you need in your garden, trust me on this. The first one is Iris Catherine Hodgkin, and this picture doesn't do it justice. It is such a beautiful color of blue, and it is only this tall, and it blooms in March. And when it blooms, I guarantee you, you will throw yourself on the ground, grab a camera, take pictures, and squeal with delight. And I've had these in my garden for a long time, and every year I forget they're there, and then when they bloom, I lose my mind. They're so pretty. So this is March, miniature dwarf iris. So is this. This is Iris Harmony, and this is a little bit taller, so it's like this tall. So these are still dwarf irises, little tiny bulbs, and you have to place these where you're gonna see them in March. So I have mine on the side of my driveway, that where the snow melts first, and I also have some on the south side of my house. And I tell you, I stare out the window every day looking for their noses to poke up through the ground, and I watch them lift the soil in March. So miniature irises, these two varieties, Catherine Hodgkin and Harmony, gotta have them. Next are the Kamachias. Now, I started getting into Kamachias for two reasons. One, I have clay soil, and not all bulbs do well in clay soil. So I said, I'll just plant some Kamachias. But two, it's the only native bulb we sell. And a lot of people want a native bulb. So these are really beautiful. They don't have to be in wet soil. We have them in the Natureworks gardens and have for years, and they do beautifully in all kinds of conditions. But they're really, really gorgeous, tall spires. They make a great cut flower. They also naturalize beautifully. Last week we talked a little about naturalizing. What causes something to naturalize is that its leaves live for a long time. And the longer the leaves live, the more food they make. And the more food they make, the more they give food to the bulb for next year. And the Kamachia leaves live for a long time. So they're really, really fun bulb to plant. Now, because these don't bloom until May, you may want to think about putting them around or near a plant that maybe comes up a little earlier, like a creeping phlox or something like an evergreen sedum. So, you can put the bulbs in with earlier plants. This is creeping phlox, and that's up early, the sedum's up early. So you can put them in between ground covers or perennials that are up early, and then after these are growing, these will come up. Something like this, Allium schubertii. Now, this is literally this big around. It is ginormous, but it's three-dimensional. The spokes on it, as you can see in this picture, aren't all at the same length. So it's three-dimensional, but they're short. They're only about this tall, but the bulb flower is this big. So the way I design with these is I do a single bulb through a low ground cover, a single bulb through a low ground cover. I want them to be outrageous orbs of beauty that you just go, what? You don't want to put them together, and you don't want to put them far back in the garden. These are not your giant alliums. These are little spaceship alliums that you put the big flower, short stem, somewhere near the front of the garden. Now, so these are late May, early June, mid-June, so that's when they bloom. So again, we're talking succession of bloom here. Now this bulb has a great name, Surprise Lily, and the reason it's called Surprise Lily is it has a backwards life cycle. In the spring, it comes up with leaves, It is related to amaryllis. It looks like an amaryllis leaf. You go, what did I plant? What is that? You wait, you let the leaves grow, then you mark it with a stake so you know where it is, label, it disappears. And in August, early, mid-August, it comes up with a flower and no leaves, about this tall with pink flowers. Another name for these are naked ladies because they come up with no leaves. The leaves come first, the flowers come second. These are also a perennial. It's a really good sized bulb, and when you plant a bulb, you'll get a patch after a few years. I discovered these back in the 80s because they were growing in a client's garden in Guilford, and I just think they're so much fun to grow. Now, where would you put this? This might be a good bulb to put in a garden where you have something that blooms early and then doesn't look so great later. A lot of times, a lot of our Jacob's ladders kind of look a little funny later in the season. Some of your early poppies, a lot of things that do their thing early and then disappear. A naked lady would be the answer to fill that area in. Finally, this is a bulb that flowers in late October and November. This is truly saffron crocus. These are crocuses that are perennial, and this is the saffron, this part of the flower. Now, I have these in my garden too, and they're doing great. I have, from this bag with just this many bulbs, I now have a patch like this after 4 years. And you can harvest the saffron to cook with it. It makes your fingers orange. But the fun thing about this is that you get leaves in September and early October, and then you get flowers through the leaves in very, very late fall, and they don't need full sun. So these are some oddball bulbs that you just can't resist. So yes, let's plant the daffodils and let's plant all the other stuff, but let's make sure we get some of these really rare and unusual bulbs in the garden. And if you want to know more about bulbs, go to our new website, natureworksgardencenter.com, go to handouts, and you can download 2 handouts. One is bulb basics, and the other is, wait for it, you can never have too many spring bulbs. And that's my motto, and that should be your motto too. So this is Nancy from Natureworks saying, see you in the garden center. Bye-bye.